A few years ago, I hit a moment that didn't look dramatic from the outside, but it changed the way I saw money forever. I was earning more than ever. My bills were paid. I wasn't reckless. I wasn't shopping every weekend. But every time I was opening my banking app, I felt this tightness, like something wasn't adding up, even though technically it all did. So I sat down one weekend to look at 3 months of statements to double check everything. I looked at every dollar that left my account, and here is what I found. It wasn't the big splurges, and it wasn't the obvious mistakes. It was the sound-smarting things, the things that looked responsible on paper, but quietly chipped away at my future. I realized something that most people don't even say out loud. You don't lose your future through one reckless move. You lose it through 100 well-meaning steps, pointed in the wrong direction. This video isn't about skipping coffee or coupon hunting your way to success. It's about the real habits that lock smart, hardworking people in survival mode. Spot these early and you don't only save money, you buy back clarity, space, and power. When I first started my YouTube channel, the temptation was everywhere. Courses, blueprints, masterclasses, each one promising to fast-track success if only I signed up. And I get it, the landing pages were brilliant. Testimonials, big promises, bulletproof roadmaps. It felt like buying transformation, like future me was just one checkout page away. But early on, I made a decision most people don't. Instead of sticking courses, I chose something harder: execution, creating videos, uploading, learning from real feedback, not curated slideshows, fumbling forward, not shopping for a shortcut. And even today, the temptation still whispers. A new course, a new system, a new proven framework. You don't grow by consuming transformation. You grow by bleeding for it through action, not aspiration. Because the endless loop of buy, feel productive, stall, buy again never leads to the life you want. It just fills your mind and your bank statements with emotional clutter disguised as self-improvement. And the trap, it feels smart. Smart packaging, smart branding, smart sounding promises. But the result, no output, no shift, just more delay that is dressed up like ambition. And while that illusion is easy to fall for, it's not the only one. Sometimes the next expensive decision isn't about your progress, it's about your identity. I remember standing in front of this super sleek DSLR camera, the kind with the flip-out screen, the depth blur, and all the bells and whistles. I told myself, if I get this, I'll finally start creating seriously. So I bought it. And then weeks passed and it sat untouched in my drawer. Not because I didn't care, and also not because I wasn't ready, but because deep down, the camera wasn't about the work. It was about the version of me that I was trying to summon. That purchase wasn't a tool. It was like a costume, and I actually see this everywhere. Someone buys a $400 microphone before they ever recorded a podcast. Someone invests in a full art setup before sketching on paper. Someone orders a laptop to start a business before they've even written the first idea down. The gear isn't bad, but buying it early is like building a stage before you've written the script. It gives you the feeling of seriousness, of legitimacy, of readiness. But none of these things come from the items. They come from the reps, from the messy, uncomfortable, amateur moments no product can skip you past. We buy to feel like we've already become the version of ourselves that we haven't even met yet. But the most powerful tools in your life won't come from Amazon. They will come from the part of you that is willing to start with less and keep going anyway. And sometimes the money leak isn't loud. It's not flashy gear or big purchases. It's something softer, quieter. It feels like preparation. Now let's look closer. You've probably seen this. Maybe even felt it yourself. You walk into the office wearing the watch, the bag, the belt with the subtle logo. It feels like the right way to show you're leveling up. And in a world where perception matters, that logic makes sense. But here's what's easy to miss. That $1,200 handbag, it didn't buy you confidence. That luxury wallet, it didn't make your savings grow. And that designer jacket, it didn't get you promoted. Because image might open a door, but it won't carry you through it. The trap isn't the purchase, it's the why behind it. We tell ourselves we're investing in our presence, in our professionalism, in our polish. But sometimes we're just trying to feel like we belong, trying to look like the version of ourselves that we haven't grown into yet. But let me tell you, your financial future doesn't care about your labels. It cares about your habits. And your boss probably isn't keeping track of your sneakers. You don't need to flex to be respected. You need to be consistent, strategic, and confident enough to let your results do the talking, not your receipts. Because the real power move is knowing what actually pays off and letting go of just what looks like it might. But image isn't the only illusion that drains you. I used to think the problem was my space. If I had just a better desk, a cleaner layout, a more inspiring setup, then I finally get focused. So I upgraded everything: an ergonomic chair, an inspirational quote printed and framed, diffusing sticks to calm the mind, a tidy desk with as few distractions as possible. It looked like productivity heaven, but I still kept reaching for my phone, still avoided the hard tasks, still opened 8 tabs and finished none of them. That's when it hit me. The setup wasn't broken. I just hadn't built the habit. Because the truth is, no amount of gear, posture, or ambient scent will save you if you haven't trained your brain to sit with resistance. Focus isn't something you buy. It's something you build through boredom, discomfort, and showing up when it's hard. Otherwise, your workspace becomes performance art. It looks like work, it feels like effort, but it doesn't move you forward. And once you've started your space, the next step gets even sneakier. There is a phase where many people go through where buying books feels like upgrading your future. Biography, psychology, business, behavior change. Each title feels like a ticket to a better version of yourself. Like you're just one good read away from your breakthrough. But then the shelf gets smarter, not you. The books sit there, untouched, a neat row of good intentions gathering dust. That's the illusion. Buying the tools of learning makes you feel like you're learning. But unless you actually engage, it's just decor. You don't grow from the purchase. You grow from the process, the struggle, the boredom, the deep focus it takes to finish and apply. Otherwise, you're not building wisdom. You're building a personality costume, one that looks impressive, but never actually shows up when life gets hard. And if books don't get open, there's something else we do instead. At some point, you'll open your phone after a stressful day, and there it is. A calming app, an app that promises to declutter your mind, slow your breathing, and fix your sleep. It costs less than a dinner and offers the illusion of order. So you buy it, not because it solves the root of your exhaustion, but because it makes you feel like you're doing something. But the problem, peace can't be downloaded. No app fixes the boundaries you keep breaking. No sleep trick restores hours you never gave yourself. No meditation reminder is stronger than a lifestyle you refuse to question. You don't need another notification to breathe. You need space to live, because burnout doesn't come from doing too much. It comes from doing too much of what you don't want to be doing. This isn't about apps, it's about honesty. And if you're ready for real calm, not digital calm, the next step gets even more subtle. There's a strange thing that happens when exhaustion becomes your default. You wake up tired, work through headaches, scroll through stress, and by Friday, you tell yourself, I deserve this. So you book the brunch, the massage, the little weekend getaway, not because it heals you, but because it temporarily silences your guilt of pushing past your limits all week. But this hard part most people miss. You're not treating yourself for working hard. You're treating yourself for betraying your own boundaries and surviving it. And the price of that cycle isn't just the money, it's the quiet erosion of trust in yourself. Because deep down, you know the reward isn't solving the cause. It's just soothing the symptoms until next week when it happens all over again. Rest isn't reward for burnout. It's the foundation that keeps you from needing it in the first place. And if this one stung a little, the next trap hides even deeper. Because what looks like investing in the future can sometimes be a gamble that you don't even understand. You're scrolling through your feed and suddenly everyone is making money. Some guy flipped $500 into $15,000 with a coin that you've never even heard of. Your friend is suddenly an early investor into something that sounds futuristic, but suspiciously vague. And in that moment, FOMO hits harder than logic. You tell yourself it's an opportunity, but deep down, it's not about growth. It's about not being left behind, so you jump in. You throw money at names you barely researched. You join discords, watch charts, you hold your breath. And now you're not investing, you're gambling, like a tourist in a Las Vegas casino. Because here's the difference. Strategy is boring, it's slow, it's patient. It's built on things that you can explain and understand. But hype moves fast, hype makes noise, and hype leaves quietly after draining people who mistook it for wealth building. Most people don't lose money in crypto because they're dumb. They lose because they borrowed conviction from strangers without building any of their own. And once your confidence becomes secondhand, your regret becomes firsthand. But the most expensive trap, we'll talk about that next. There's a certain pressure in your 20s to show you're living. The concert, the destination wedding, the last-minute trip with friends. And it's tempting. Everyone is posting about once-in-a-lifetime memories. And you're sitting there wondering if skipping it means you're falling behind. But here's what no one admits. That concert, it was fun, but it might have wrecked their rent. That trip, it looked amazing, but now they're dodging credit card statements. That festival, they're still paying it off for a few Instagram stories. And this isn't about shame, it's about awareness. It's about knowing that you're not missing life by skipping what you can afford. You're preserving your future by protecting your foundation because your peace is more valuable than one night of photos. In your 20s, the real flex isn't proving you were there. It's building something solid, so you don't have to choose between peace and presence later. Carol Dweck says it best in Mindset. Effort is what ignites ability and turns it into accomplishment. So instead of spending to perform a lifestyle, invest in the one you're actually building. Take risks, try things, fail forward. Just don't bankrupt your peace for someone else's highlight reel. Because what you say yes to in your 20s quietly shapes what you're able to say yes to in your 30s. If you're serious about building real freedom, not just flexing it, watch this video up here. And if you found this video helpful, it would mean the world to me if you give this video a thumbs up, hit the notification bell as well as the subscribe button, and join the community as it grows. So see you next time. Bye.